Welcome. This is Pine Leaf Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Andang,
Hey, everybody.
Terry Adwin,
Hi, hi.
Maven,
Hey, y'all.
Erithert,
Hello, everybody.
Carvette,
At your service and your families.
and please welcome our special guest from LOTRO Academy, Brannick.
Groovy.
Whoa.
Nice.
All right. This week we will begin by asking Brannick what got him into LOTRO, into Lord of the Rings and Tolkien in general, and what got him into LOTRO Players.
That's a loaded question.
Well, I'll answer the second part first because I'm really going to just reference LOTRO Academy. I don't remember the episode number, but I can get that for you, where we interviewed Andang and talked all about the foundation of LOTRO Players. I guess I can mention in short, I gave LOTRO Players its name.
Yeah.
Other than that, how I got into LOTRO was actually I was playing Guild Wars and really wanting to play a game more like Dark Age of Camelot, but not wanting to subscribe because that had been my MMO of choice previously. And then I heard that LOTRO was going to be going free to play, and I'd been hearing really good things about it since it had come out. So I applied for the free to play beta and loved it so much that I ended up buying the Moria Collector's Edition box and subscribing for like the couple of months before it went free to play, just so I could actually start playing on a live server early. And decided to podcast about it as well. So there's that.
Awesome. And just for everyone's benefit, that was episode 79 of LOTRO Academy when we talked about LOTRO Players.
You are quick with the Google foo, my friend.
I actually used the LOTRO search box, LOTRO Players search box, which apparently is accurate, so that's good to know.
Oh, that's good. All right. Anything else you have to add?
I don't think so.
All right, then we'll go into our first impressions of Update 16, which came out this week. So let us begin with Terry Adwin.
Oh, yay. Okay, so first impressions of Update 16. Obviously, I had some idea of what we were getting into because I had played in beta a little bit. I have not gone through any of the imbuing stuff yet, but aside from that, not much has changed, although a couple of the holes that I found in the floors back when I was in beta got fixed, so that was good. So I've been going through some of that. I actually really like this area of Gondor. I like how they did the Dawnless Day in it. The content is really interesting and kind of meh about changes that were made to legendary items, but I haven't explored them a whole lot to have very strong opinions either way.
All right, then how about Trish? Or Maven, sorry.
That's okay. I forget too. Well, this is actually going to be part of my what I did this week, but I'll say it now. I learned a really important lesson. I mean, I may be at level 100, but I'm a young level 100, so I'm still working like Dol Amroth and Pelargir and all that stuff. So I mean, Eastern Gondor for me is still a ways off in terms of really serious. But I thought, I'm going to do it. First of all, I really thought it was cool when I actually whooshed in to see Aragorn. So I did the Mithril coin, and I landed like I think I was inside all the circle of men surrounding him, which was like, whoa, dude, big change from the prancing pony.
Yes.
I mean, wow, and so I took a while to kind of check out who was there and stuff. We even had the King of the Dead there. But the other lesson that I have learned, and I need to put this into play the next time there's an update out, don't go into the new area on the first day that it's released. Because when I solo quest, I put emphasis on the word solo. And it's like I'm running around and there's all these people up in my business. It's like everywhere I go, there's all these people. Now, I mean, it's not an issue in terms of like, open tapping is fine, and everybody knew that, and everybody made sure they got their shots in and all that stuff. And the mobs are, responding like crazy. I probably on purpose because they know a lot of people in there. But it was like, God, I just kept tripping over people. It was not a relaxing experience. Other than that, I haven't gone that far into it, so I'm looking forward to it. I really am, and I'm gonna listen to what everybody else has to say because I'm curious.
Trish, you
That's what-
reminded me of when I played Helm's Deep, and people actually, because it was on Landerville, which is a role-playing server, people
Right.
actually lined up to talk to the first NPC
Oh,
and waited their turn. It was hilarious.
That
It was
is
so
awesome.
funny.
Oh well. Actually, Maven, you reminded me of one of the reasons why it's nice that I tend to do the new content, since I do the video thing on Laurelin. And of course, so it's evening on Laurelin, which means most of the people who are on that server are asleep at that time.
Yes. Now you have made a very good case for me to duplicate myself on another server.
All right. Carvette.
Well, I don't have anybody up as high as you guys to experience U16 yet. So what I've seen on various videos and whatnot looks pretty cool. But I really don't have a whole lot of impression, except for the fact that when Maven zoned into that area with Aragorn and all these guys, and she said, "All these men," I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh!" In her brain, she's going, "Hey, it's raining men." But
Which is not necessarily good news, you understand.
sometimes that cannot be actually. But I'm really not there, so it sounds really cool.
Is raining men ever good news, technically?
No,
Okay. Like, I'm just picturing people dropping from the sky and people rejoicing.
I knew which tangent you were on, so that was a no.
Okay, gotcha. Carry on.
All right.
We're good.
Aerother.
Oh, hey. This was the first time I have ever been at Cap when a new expansion released. So it was like a whole new world. I was very excited about it. And first impressions, the music is nice. I like it a lot. My first impression, though, actually was the floating ash. And I can't remember if we'd had this going up to Pelargir. I think we did. I just didn't notice it. But the instant you step out the East Pelargir gates, it's like
Yeah.
there's just ash floating everywhere. It was really, I mean, it made an impression in the sky. The ash in the sky are like, what? It puts you in the mood. It's like things are coming. The difference that I've noticed for this update, I tended to I was like, I'm gonna slow down. I'm only up to Losternak. I haven't even gotten to Osgiliath yet. But I was like, I'm gonna slow down, enjoy it, and read the quests instead of just seeing what they want to make me do, glancing it over and moving on. Like I was actually gonna read the quest line because one of Lotro's strength has always been the story, and it continues to be a strength in the update. I think it's you feel more like up to now you've kind of felt like you're becoming this hero in Middle Earth, and you're going alongside, and you're kind of seeing these guys from afar, and you're going off and you're doing all these things that are like, okay, yeah, this needs to be done, but it's not really that important. But now, with the quests that you're doing, they're so close to the storyline. You feel like your name ought to be somewhere in the appendix of the book. Like, oh yeah, and the person who helped them do this thing was the Aerother, and like, you're so close. You're so close to the story, and you feel like you're part of the great company, and you're with Aragorn, right there. It just it's getting like things are coming.
Yeah.
It just has that whole sense of things are coming. The war is coming. Like we've been fighting it the whole time, but it's here. It's the feeling of that's great. Legendary item stuff. Um, sorry, more about that later, I guess. But
Right.
yeah, it's I don't much care for the legendary item changes, but the actual new zones and the quest part of them, I really, really am enjoying it.
All right. Ending.
Yes, well, Pineleaf, this is actually the first time since I've been at Cap, which has been since level 65, They have not played the new content the first week it's come out, which kind of surprised me. I think part of it's just the amount of time I know that's between updates now, that I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I gotta finish it tomorrow, or oh no. Um, and so I'm kind of taking it a lot slower toward the point where I'm not even starting it yet this week. And also the other reason is just because I'm super busy with the secret project. But yeah.
All right then. And Brannick.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your first impressions of Update 16?
Well, I'm actually questing in Western Gondor. I haven't set foot in Central or Eastern yet, but so far my first impressions are running immediately to the nearest forge guy and imbuing my legendaries so they are mine and they will always be mine, and I am happy about that.
All right then. And
So, real quick follow-up. I know, Brannick, you are a big fan of the LI system, how it used to be. What do you think about the changes they made?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of how it used to be, but I didn't have the problems that so many
Right.
other people seem to have with the way it was. I think right now it's kind of odd that it's only a level 100 and it's kind of in a transitory state, but I think the system overall, if it does get applied like as a full-on replacement for the legendary system, I think it makes a lot more sense and will probably be it'll probably be a lot less confusing to people trying to learn and understand their legendaries, and we'll no longer have to link them to an epic 3-part series of LOTRO Academy episodes just to get them to understand the systems.
all right then. That's our first impressions that we had. Now, as
What
for
about you,
Yeah, what
Pineleaf?
about you,
I'm
Pine
getting it. I was just about to
Oh.
say.
Don't rush the
Pine Leaf
pine.
is transitions master. We got to remember that.
Don't rush the pine leaf.
As for my first impressions,
Rush the pine leaf.
on the system, I have only played up to the first town because this week I had 3 things released. One, of course, was Update 16. The second thing was the Temple of Elemental Evil board game just came out. And third thing, Invisible Ink came out. So all 3 of them all hit in the same week. So I've had to take a little time on each of them. So I've only had time to imbue my legendary items and to go to the up to the first town. So do the areas, get my banner, because that's a wonderful banner that you get for the beginning of the epic, and then get to the first town. And I did that on 2 characters. And my rule is that I cannot go past the point where my Laurelin Warden has to do it blind because that's for the video series, and I want it to be a blind video series.
All right.
And it looks like we have no other news this week. So we'll go into...
Can I talk about that real quick? I am actually really glad that there's no news this week. I didn't notice it until this update, but not having news the week that the update comes out allows you to enjoy the having the update be released. I think that in the past they released the next area and it's like, okay, cool, but we just now got this one. And then they'd have like a news drought for like 2 or 3 months and then they'd talk about it again. So it just didn't really make any sense aside from like showing like the player base, hey, we really are still working on something, because apparently the players needed to know that. But
I will.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I will say they actually did do a hot fix for some issues they were having with the instances on Friday, so that's good that they're keeping up with that.
Yep.
Yeah,
They
they're
seem to
keeping up
be
with that.
patching good, and so I hope for another couple weeks we don't actually have any game news, because I think that it would work a lot better to just announce the news closer to the actual release, and then you don't have these large like multiple month-long news droughts. Instead, you can just enjoy the update while it's around. So I actually like what they're doing right now.
All right, very well. Now, I should make one note that was discussed in the forums, and that is to make it clear that some people were getting confused because apparently the instance cluster is handled in a similar way to the level 65 instance cluster, where I forgot the exact name of it at the moment, where they had chapters and book. They refer to chapters within it, and some people thought that the new instance cluster was part of the epic storyline. It's not part of the epic storyline. It's just that it's done in a similar structure to the epic storyline, so therefore some people thought it was part of, but it is not part of the epic storyline.
It has
So
its
yeah,
own storyline, basically.
it has its own storyline.
In their
Yes.
absence is the one you're
Yeah,
thinking
in
of.
their absence. Yes, thank
I
you.
think
Yes,
I
in
think
their
my
absence.
I think my kin is slightly frustrated about that with me because I'm a guardian in one of the few that tanks that cap, and I'm like, I want to wait till I get to it in this story to do any of the instances because then they'll make sense to me. I haven't even been to Osgiliath. I want to kind of get there first
Right.
in the story and then do it. But they're like, oh, we need a tank. I was like, so I'm torn. I'm torn.
Come here, third play. You're not squishy.
Exactly. I don't
All
just
right.
poop.
Not squishy!
All right, let's go to the store news.
Okay, so our free sample of the week is a random relic pack ×1. Use coupon code LRPR9 one time per account. Legendary relic pack, rank 9, something.
I guess so.
Random 9. Okay. 25% off some cosmetic stuff. Select cosmetics from the store, shared wardrobe space, cosmetic outfit slots, mounted combat trait specs, and war steed cosmetic slots. So yay! Actually, not a terrible sale for once.
Your enthusiasm is unbounding.
Yes.
I actually used the sale for this is the first one I've actually bought something on in
Ah.
over a month, I think. I got a couple of extra spaces in my shared wardrobe.
Right.
Yay,
I
wardrobe!
did so, and Brannick did so. So we're all
Have too much wardrobe space.
yes.
I have no turbine points, so I didn't buy any.
Yes.
I think
If
that's
you don't have any turbine points, it's tough to take advantage of the sale.
the entirety of my shared space. My shared storage is entirely filled with cosmetics, though, so I use it for that purpose, which is kind of depressing.
Well, but see, wardrobe, you can equip stuff that you're not at level for, that's not
Yeah.
from your class. Yeah, I
Yep.
use all kinds of stuff for my wardrobe.
That's
It's
how you get
awesome.
minstrels and heavy armor, and you get wardens and
Exactly.
like chest plates of steel and stuff.
Honestly, the wardrobe is one of the best features of LOTRO that really
Yeah.
sets it apart from other
Yeah,
games.
it really is.
That's why you can get a level 20 burglar and Dunlending gear and look really cool.
Yeah.
And everyone around you's like, "Where'd you get that armor, bro?" And you're like,
Yeah.
"I looted it off the body."
I've got connections in Dunland, my friend. This is genuine imported Dunlending silk, have you know. That's my lore master. He's a bit of a hoity-toity
fop?
fella. He's a hoity-toity elf, what can I say?
All right, hoity-toity.
He's
All
an
right.
elf.
Let's head into our LOTRO Players News, and we'll begin with the 100th episode of LOTRO Players News is going to be broadcast on May 30th. And dang, any news about this?
That's right, Pineleaf. We are extremely excited because the 100th episode is just around the corner. If you did not look at your episode before downloading it, this is episode 97, which means that we're just 3 episodes away from episode 100, which is super exciting. And we're hoping to have it be our biggest show yet. We're inviting back all our past guests, and we already have a lot of people saying that they'll be here, and I think pretty much all of our past co-hosts will be on the show as well. So it's going to be a really packed show, and we should be having a lot of fun. The main purpose of this article, though, was not only to announce, joining us live during the show on May 30th, but also send in audio files or messages through email about your favorite moments or really anything else you want to talk about that you want featured on the 100th episode of the show. And you can send in those audio files to our normal email, podcast@lotroplayers.com. And, we might have it edited into the final audio file and also in a special YouTube video. So, really exciting.
Very well then. our poll for this week is, what part of Update 16 will you do first? And what's the consensus from our audience?
Well, Pineleaf, the consensus seems to be that they will be doing the epic story first, with 32% of the vote, 75 votes, followed by LI changes, which the game kind of forces upon you sometimes, with 30% of the vote, 71 votes, followed by Eastern Gondor quests, which with 18%, the new instances with 10%, and other with 10%. Kind of surprised me that new instances were on the bottom, because I know some people, are already at 100 with this update, or a lot of people are already at 100 with this update. And so I figured more would, maybe be doing the instances first, but
Well, now, aren't the new instances scalable from 50?
Yes,
they are, which gives even more reason to be doing them first.
Yeah,
Right,
you don't
because-
have to be level 100 to do them.
Right. But not really surprised by Epic Story. That's pretty much the top in all of these kind of polls. So
See,
Oh.
I voted other because I'm doing the Epic Story and the Eastern Gondor quest at the same time, and I didn't know which I was technically doing first, so I was confused. I'm easily
that's
confused.
tough to. Yeah, that's tough to decide what you're going to do when you're going to do them together.
Yeah.
And of course, I wanted to have my LIs ready in order to go into them. Yeah, so the first thing I did was update my LIs, then went in to do the Epic Story and Eastern Gondor. Yeah.
all right.
Very well then. We'll head into our LOTRO videos highlights, the Rise of Isengard fan trailer.
That's right, Pineleaf. This is a really cool trailer made by the fans that takes the actual trailer footage that they released during Rise of Isengard, along with some footage from some of the dev diaries, puts it to music, and combines it all into one really concise, epic trailer that takes like the best moments from each. And it's a really cool teaser for Rise of Isengard.
It was awesome.
Indeed, and there's a nice little snippet of a certain high-level raid right at the very end that makes you go, "What was that?" Because it's totally like a Peter Jackson teaser. It's just a little like half-second clip of the beastie, and you're like,
Yeah.
"What?" It was nice.
All right then. Then let's head into the next part of the family line, part 43. Broken. What's broken?
I would just like to say
Spoilers.
that Mul Eretini Hobbit made an appearance in this one.
Oh, that's your Hobbit?
That's Eretini. Impeccably cheerful.
Impeccably cheerful.
Yep.
Yes.
So I feel like he wrote. I feel like there's way more backstory that he gave him that I'm curious about. So I hope he shows up again. But yeah, it's a good one.
Now he's probably just going to kill you off next episode. Be like, that'll show you to wish that you're wanted again.
Yeah. All right. And if you want to know what's broken, I guess you'll have to read the storyline.
What's broken is that it's not the answer to the life, the universe, and everything. That was last week, so.
Exactly.
Well, yes, I guess you have a point with that. So let's go into our new player question. Maven, what's up this time?
Well, since we have the spring festival coming up soon, I wanted to ask you guys, what's the point of doing festival quests and activities?
Easy answer. Horses.
Cosmetics.
That too.
Emotes.
Extra stuff, dances, emotes,
Yeah, the dance
horses, questing. Depending on the festival, it can also be a really fast way to get some serious quest XP.
The In-League and Ale Association.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which you can
and
only
of
do
course,
during
I thought
quests, right?
But you can only do them during festivals, yes.
During festivals, yeah.
Spring festival too. I
Yeah.
thought, right?
Brannick.
Crazy all of them.
Yeah.
It's
I
all the
thought that
festival.
your answer was going to be Bulwer's Brew.
Well, the question was more about festivals in general, but yes, as far as the spring festivals go, drunken fence walking is my thing. As longtime Academy listeners will know, I really, really wish they would leave the fence up all year round, because I would actually start a drunken fence walking league.
That's awesome.
which I would not be
That's
a
great.
part
So
of
now,
because
so anybody that
it's
hasn't been to Spring
challenged.
Festival, that's a great teaser. You must come to Spring Festival now.
Yeah, and that is the only way. The Drunken Fence Walking is the only way to actually get the best beer in the game, which is Bull Roarer's Brew. You do a quest called Bull Roarer's Challenge, which is the Drunken Fence Walking quest, and the Bull Roarer's Brew gives you the strongest drunk effect available in the game, except it's all tinted green, and instead of little drunk bubbles, you get little green shamrocks.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Okay.
I've never actually done
I'm
the
in.
Spring Festival. And like the in-league stuff. I may have to do that this year.
Yeah, my kin is thinking about doing a kin event to do the like in league. Just a bunch of drunken people running around the
Yeah,
Shire.
if you can get the in-league and the Ale Association on the same festival, that'd be cool.
Well, you can, but they actually, when
they-
you do a quest for one, it gives negative rep with the other, so it's a
Right.
really long slog if you actually
Oh.
want to do both.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like that's all I know about it.
I mean, just you really don't need to do both. Just pick a side. I went with the league, but
But I think I think the questing part is good. I mean, if God forbid there are players who actually aren't interested in emotes, horses, and cosmetics, what are you thinking? The XP that's given for quests at festivals is level, it's leveled
Level
up according
appropriate,
to
yes.
your level. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
appropriate
it's
to
fast.
your level. So if you're level 50, you're going to get decent XP as much as if you're level 10. So that's kind of cool.
Well,
My
it depends
first
whether you
festival
pref-
was actually the Farmer's Fair, and I tried that egg thing at Sanson's Farm so many times and never succeeded. So that's on my list of things to really try to do this year.
All right then. Anything else anyone wants to add before we go on?
sure. One thing, since I was talking about Bull Roarer's Brew, and I noticed that Zinger is in the chat, I should go ahead and thank him because he has helped me farm a bunch of the Bull Roarer's Brew, and he's the main reason I have stacks and stacks and stacks. I've probably got 20 or 30 full stacks of Bull Roarer's Brew held in storage so that I can party year round.
Wow.
Which just further proves that Zinger really is everywhere.
Yes. Bulwer's Brew packs quite a zing.
Oh.
It does.
Ba-dum-bum.
Let's head into our weekend Lotro. Aerith there, what did you do this week?
My internet is still all fluffed up, so we did not do a lunch run this week again, which is kind of depressing. But on the bright side, it's probably good because I was getting a little bit chickened out. So not in like run away,
Ba-dum-bum.
but like I'd seen the chicken butt enough. So the break has actually been kind of nice. So hopefully my internet holds up. We had some issues with it actually before the call, and had to switch to Andang hosting the show today. So maybe it's not fixed. I don't know. I got to figure it out. But hopefully that's coming next week. Most of what I did in Lotro was exploring Eastern Gondor and experiencing the new quests and the storyline and stuff like that. It's fun. I'm in Losternock so far and have not progressed beyond that yet. I'm kind of taking it a little bit slow. I did imbue, I think I imbued because I play a Guardian. So we have two roles as a Guardian. You've got damage and you've got tanking. And one of the changes for Update 16 is that it took all the Guardian skills and made them, or the AoE skills, and made them 5 targets, which is great because if you had an AoE legacy before, adding targets, you can hit a whole bunch of people now, unless you imbue your weapon. So if I imbue my tanking weapons, I can only hit 5 targets, which is not enough when you got champions hitting 10 and hunters hitting 10. Like you got to be able to hit everybody. So that's one of the reasons why I'm like about the changes is because the whole Guardian targets thing. But so I'm not going to be touching my tanking stuff as long as that happens. But I did imbue my DPS belt and my single target weapon, and eventually I'm slowly lowering the targets on my AoE weapon to get used to it being fewer targets, and I'll probably end up imbuing that one as well. But most of my time this week has been In Lotro, been in exploring.
All right then. Then let's head into Maven. What did you do this week?
I think your mic might be muted.
Maven.
All
Oh,
right.
well, here I am. I was muted. Hello. I
Technical.
was talking away. I was like, oh, I'm talking. So anyway, so I already told you about the lesson learned with Glordrill on the new update, so that we won't go back. I backtracked to the Mornshaws because I hadn't gone to that part of Enidwythe when I was through there before, and I wanted to do the Orome quest, so I did all the Orome quests, and that was pretty cool. And I seasoned my burglar in the Lone Lands. My burglar went from level 8 to level 21 in one evening on the weekend a couple of months ago when they had the extra craft XP. So he leveled completely crafting from 8 to 21 in like an evening. And so ever since then, I've been running around the Shire grossly overleveled, sort of quote unquote practicing my burglar skills. But I mean, face it, how tough can that be? And a friend of mine said, hey, I have a Bjorning at level 25. I want to go do the Great Barrow. Let's duo the Great Barrow.
Oh, wow.
I said, if you don't mind a whole lot of rezzing, that's fine. But let me go practice. So I took my burglar to the Lone Lands so I could do some on-level stuff. And actually went really well. I'm very pleased. So that was pretty cool. Oh, and my burglar's now 25. So
Wait, so you guys actually did duo a 6-man at
we have not
level
yet.
25?
I may be
Oh, okay.
reporting on that next Saturday.
I
I
thought
will
you
be
said it went
reporting
really
on the
well, and I was like, that's
bloodbath.
it.
That's
No.
gonna be
I'll be
interesting.
reporting. No, I had to season him up to that, and so if it happens this week,
season-
trust me, I will report on it next Saturday,
Okay.
and it probably won't be a pretty story.
No.
All
Hey,
right then.
Maven, is your burglar a hobbit or a man?
A hobbit, of course.
Yeah, I was thinking when you said seasoning your burglar, I'm thinking a hobbit being seasoned in the lone land by some orcs.
I
Sounds-
said it that way on purpose because I knew I would stimulate some punning.
I think
From
I
one of
think your hobbits from Hoarhallow, actually.
What? Excuse me?
From Hoarhallow. In the moors.
In the moors.
Pine Leaf. In the moors. It's a place. Hoar.
Yeah, yes, that is in the moors. Yes. Very well. Let's
Oh my
let's head
goodness.
to Andang.
Moving
Of
on.
course, I get to follow that up. Okay. So
Well, that's
yes,
what you get for putting yourself after Maven.
this
Yeah,
week,
let that be a lesson.
this week I filmed some things of some people doing some things relating to some secret project things. And that's pretty much all I did this week. So, and I
Well,
also
that
did like a lot of voicing stuff. So, yeah.
very well. Let's go to Carfet then.
All right, so I helped a friend go in the Barrow Downs from level 18 to 21 on just the Bree-Rep quests and the stuff that was on Dead Man's Perch. And one of my favorite things in Lotro is to introduce people to content they've never done before. So I was really excited to be able to lead him through Hod Illyarich, or however you say that, and to get the Executioner of the Wicked title. So that was fun. That was actually the champ that we ran into today during the secret-y stuff after party. I also leveled a Berg from 8 to 20, but I didn't do it in crafting. I actually started in Comb right at the beginning of the Comb quest line and decided I was going to power level. So I did all the Comb stuff, did the epic up to the point where I knew I had to go into that cave with that one lady, and I said, no, I'm done, I'm out. And then skipped Staddle entirely, hit Bree at around 12, ran through Bree, did the tour, and then followed the quest line outside to do all the brigand stuff through Grimbriars and the South Fortress, and then went north to Thronleys and did all that stuff, and purposely tried to keep things orange and yellow for a challenge. And then I ended up finishing somewhere up around Thronleys at level 20. And so that was cool. And I did that in about 3 hours, so I was kind of excited about that. And then earlier this week, I helped one of the LPN co-hosts with some epic thing on her alt that she was having problems with. I think it was.
All right then.
It was me, and then it turned out that I actually had already done it.
It was still fun though.
All right, Brannick, what did you do?
You might be muted, Brannick.
No, actually, I was I was muted, but I was putting my coffee pot away, so trying not to make noise on mic. Most of what I did in LOTRO, I already talked about yesterday when we recorded LOTRO Academy, so I guess stay tuned for that. But I mean, that will be posted on the 19th when we actually reveal the secret project.
Yeah.
So I assume that everybody's going to be listening to that episode anyway, and you can hear most of what I did last week in LOTRO then on that segment. But since then, some other things have happened. During that recording, actually, we had Andang and Terry Adwin on, and after recording, I invited Terry Adwin to join the Academy podcast, and she graciously accepted. So I think all of our listeners are lucky, lucky for that occurrence.
Aw.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So after that, I invited her to the Academy Kinship on Arkenstone and was helping her level up a little bit, got her high enough to do skirmishes, and I've been just killing things because we're doing stuff at like level 25 and 26, and I'm on a level 100 champion, just one-shotting everything,
It's
helping her level, which I actually haven't really done that before, not with that big of a level discrepancy, so it's kind of a fun change of pace to just casually chat, on TeamSpeak and just slaughter things and help someone level.
So Terry joined a kinship that wasn't hers?
The
Yes,
Academy
because it's not
Kinship.
my
Nice. Oh, okay. It's a different server.
It's
Yeah,
it's Arkenstone.
You are
Okay.
welcome to join as well. I mean, almost all of our members are server alts from other servers anyway. We have a lot of fun. It's where we have our weekly Academy field trips every Friday, and then we record the podcast right after that.
Uh-huh.
Right then. Then let's head into our new host for LOTRO Academy, Terry Adwin.
Well, I have already talked about some of my week because we did the Update 16 review. But so as everybody knows, I worked on new content. About 20 minutes after I patched the game and got loaded in and got started, because I actually knew, because having been in beta, I knew where the update was going to start. So I was actually already there when I got loaded in. And this is not my first update at Cap. It's actually my third, because my first update at Cap was Western Gondor. So I sort of knew what to expect on day one. Really crowded. But I timed it, and I got the banner of the King of Mode about 20 minutes after I logged in. And that was reading the quest text, because I've been very good about reading the quest text.
The funny thing is that you timed it.
I did! It's like, I gotta get this note. So, because I had it by the time we did Mythgard Monday, because we explored the Shire on Mythgard Monday, and afterwards I switched alts so I could show everybody what the banner of the King of Moat looks like, because it's really, really cool.
It is.
And our Tuesday group is leveling again. Yay! So to celebrate this, I did some outfitting yesterday, played LOTRO Paper Dolls, and my burglar has a new adventuring outfit, which I tweeted about, so check Twitter. And then I guested on LOTRO Academy, was asked to join the podcast, and then I went questing with Brannick, and that was lots of fun. It's always fun to see another champion in action.
What's the group going to be leveling up to? Like, what's the new level cap going to be?
We haven't picked one yet.
Oh, I'm sure we'll probably pause at 55 to do some stuff mid-Moria, and then we'll probably camp out at 60 so we can run all that slimy stuff in the belly of the world. And we'll probably go back in 6-man Rift because we're just kind of going to be that way.
We're going to beat it. We may not be level 50 when it happens, but we're going to beat it.
All right then. Let's then head into my week. On Glad my Bjorning completed Volume 2, Book 2. which is in Moria. So therefore, my Moria series is continuing. My Bjorning series, where I am inside of Moria. And also, I resumed my Pineleaf and Gondor series, where I am going through my role-play blind playthrough of the content of each of the new regions. And in this case, it took me 50 minutes to get that banner, because I'm reading it out loud and did my imbuing and all that fun stuff. So therefore, it took me a bit longer than it took Terry Adwin.
I'm jealous of y'all. My internet was so bad the first day. It took me half an hour just to get from Pelargir to Aragorn's camp and back to Pelargir.
My secret goal right now is to stay ahead of Aerithert.
Ugh. It won't be hard. It won't be hard.
So thank you for doing it on stream so I can keep track of your progress.
I am actually doing that on stream if people want to see the new content and don't have a level capped character. And as well as Pineleaf stuff doing it.
Right, because I'm doing it on YouTube.
Yep.
Let's go into news beyond Lotro. And the first bit of news is the Token Estate website maps. What are these?
This was sent in by, what was that guy's name? Somebody on Rittermark actually sent us an email and pointed us toward this update. The Tolkien Estate website has uploaded some maps that are original drawings by Tolkien, stuff that he was working from as he was writing the books. So they've never been shared before with the public, and they just recently uploaded them, and they're explorable. You can kind of zoom in to see little details and move it around and see where he's penciled in Bjornings next to the Carrock. So he sort of assumed that they were going to be a race or something. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I'm going to go ahead and hang up on the podcast and go look at these. This is epic.
Yeah, these are really cool. I got a chance to look through these when I first saw it feed through my Facebook feed, and I was looking through at these different maps going, not only is Tolkien a linguist and an amazing tale spinner, he's pretty handy with a topo map for a place that doesn't exist. So I thought that was really neat. He's got like the topography of the landscape, and you can see he's already thought about the elevation of the mountains and what the view is going to look like from place A to place B. There's actually even a place where he's drawn out a sideways view of the height of Minas Tirith in relation to Pelargir and Osgiliath.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already thought that far into it. He's like, wow, the White Tower is going to overlook this plain, and here's the elevation differences, and you can see how the White Tower relates to the mountains behind it. I mean, it was really cool.
I wonder if it's curious. I wonder if if LOTRO is going to follow that scaling. That'd be cool.
LOTRO said already for Minas Tirith that they are playing around with the height a bit because it looks really, really small when you use the actual height, because it's only supposed to be, I think, like 100 feet tall to the tallest part of Minas Tirith.
That's boring.
And 7 levels, that's really short. So they decided to they said they're going to play around with it. I don't know what height they landed on, obviously.
I wonder if they're going to make it as big as it was in the movie, because that was enormous in the movie.
No,
They said specifically they're not going to make it that over the top. So
Okay. How did I miss
It
on
was
that?
like Chris
information?
Pearson talked about that a lot. Like the Stone of Erech, was really only like in the book. It's only like 2 feet in diameter, so it kind of looked like a big bowling ball on the top of the hill. So they kind of had to scale it up for the game because it would look really silly otherwise.
It's like Gandalf's rock. Oh, look, there's the Stone of Eric.
Oops!
Somebody bring a magnifying glass. I mean,
I just kicked it off the hill.
Yeah, in Lotro, you could see this thing from the nearest towns.
Right.
Yes. Let's head into Eorgro's lore series. What?
It's
Iogro.
Iogro.
Oh, Iogro?
He's going to be with us next week, by the way.
Yes.
So get it right.
Yeah, you have a week, Pineleaf.
Practice it now.
I don't know. It looks like Eogro to me, but all right.
Your name
Whichever.
pronunciation's wrong, buddy. Come on.
This week we have The Kings of Gondor, Part 6. the Kinstrife.
I was so glad to see this return. It has been a few weeks because I guess he was working on his website because he had some issues there. And it's so great to see this series return, and in particular talking about the Kings of Gondor, which there's so much stuff, and the Kinstrife is one of the most interesting parts of the lore of Gondor. So, really cool series.
It's cool because it's super duper relevant right now
Yeah.
with the update.
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, learn stuff.
Yes, it's very because it's down during the Kinstrife, which is actually was more appropriate to the plot line of book 15 rather than book 6. I mean, not update 15 rather than update 16.
But still right around what we're doing.
Yeah, we're still right around what we're going. We are
Still remnants relevant in current stuff.
yes. We also have Side by Side with a Friend, another video
that
by
was
the
great.
This
laughed
is
so hard.
awesome. I
well,
had
the brothers workshop. You always have something awesome.
they do such tongue-in-cheek plays on traditional Lord of the Rings stuff.
This was super
from,
epic.
from the Lord of the, I mean, I actually watched this at work, and I put my hand over my mouth, and I was literally almost biting my finger, trying not to be the guy laughing like a maniac in the corner of the call center. It was fantastic.
Oh well.
I'm not gonna spoil it. You just gotta watch it. I mean, it's like
Yes.
the wind out of Hoarhallow, man. I was like, oh.
Let's head into the skirmish of the week. What are the pros and cons of the Dawnless Day? And we have today for the books. Who has the pro for the books?
I do. That's Maven.
That sounds like Maven. And who has the cons for the book?
That would be me.
Carvette. Who has the pros for the films?
And dang.
And Dang. And who has the cons for the film?
Nobody officially, but I can say a couple things.
Go for it.
All right then.
And dang's not on the games. Oh no, something is broken. Skip. No,
As
sorry.
for the games, who has the pro for the games?
I do. There.
Aerithard. And who has the cons for the game?
Terry Adwin.
Terry
Are you
Adwin.
gonna try and abstain from this, Pine Leaf? Because this is round table, remember, not a debate. I feel like I have to point that out because it's gotten more debate-like the last couple weeks.
Yes. We'll see if we can tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, where's Pineleaf in this list? That's right. I just noticed you're not here. Sneaky guy.
He's trying to weasel out of it because it's
yeah, it was hard to see because there was no dawn. Let's go into the books. All right,
Wow.
Maven. What are the pros of the Dawnless
Oh
Day
my
with the books?
gosh.
Sorry.
Well-
Sorry.
I had hoped to be able to actually, go to the way Tolkien described this thing today, but I didn't have the bandwidth to do that. So I will have to just kind of talk generally from my memory and also kind of the impact it had on me. The Dawnless Day, I mean, just the idea of it in terms of does it make sense in the story? It absolutely makes sense in the story. I was actually thinking about, what if it hadn't been, if it hadn't been a Dawnless Day in the book, how would that affect it? And I thought, oh, well, all of the 1950s nerds, that read the book would have written, I mean, he would have gotten like a mountain of mail in the mailbox saying, how could that be? Orcs, don't like the light and they can't be out. And I just thought we'd have a 1950s version of, the nerd attack. Because, it's relevant. It makes sense to do this. In fact, he makes the point of that Saruman's creatures are half man, half orc. And one of the advantages of doing that is that they can be out in the light and fight. So, it is an integral part of that story. And let's face it, I mean, a big chunk of Sauron's army are these kind of creatures that that shy away from the light. So to have the dawnless day in the story in the book absolutely makes sense. I remember even when I first read the book, it was like, oh yeah, okay, well yeah, I mean this guy, that's totally what he would do, and it's also like a testament to his power, that he could make something like that happen. So, I mean, I just think it needed to be there. I mean, and also demoralized his enemies as well, which was pretty strategic actually.
Yeah. And
So I
then
think
Later players of
you got to have
LOTRO,
it.
yeah.
You got to have a dawnless day. Come on,
and I think it
So
also,
carve.
yeah,
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
I think this Dawnless Day also set up one of the most pivotal important scenes in the story when it breaks apart.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My
Yeah.
favorite, it's actually the scene, like the paragraph that where the darkness goes away is the one like paragraph of the book that gets me every single time I read it. It's super cool. Like the charge onto the fields of Pelennor with
Yeah.
the ride of the
Yeah.
Rohirrim, the ride now, ride to Gondor, that whole thing. That's when the darkness breaks, and it's like the single best moment. It was Tolkien's favorite part of the books, and like,
Yeah.
so good. All right, I'm done.
And then we also have the effect that it had on the, on Éowyn and Faramir as they were standing, watching, because the battle's taking place way far away, and they don't know what's going on, but all suddenly they felt a lightness in their hearts, kind of thing. If so, yeah, yeah.
I thought that would have been at a later point, not during the battle.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. You're
Yeah.
right. It was
Yeah.
the ring. Why am I? Yeah,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Let's go into
Thank
the
you. Yes,
Yes.
lore monkey that I am.
Yeah.
I just stubbed my toe.
Corvette.
Well, my biggest problem with the Dawnless Day in the books is that my book doesn't have any pictures of it, so I don't really know what it looks like. But I picture kind of like dark and foggy, so it would be hard to see anyway. So I guess that's probably why there isn't a picture. That's all I have to say.
Let's go into the films. Ending.
Anybody else give a con? Because I actually have one.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, because it lasts more than a day. So,
So it should have been
Well-
called the Dawnless Indeterminate Time that will land
I-
when the plot deems it worthy.
yeah. Accurate reference. for the
I would
win.
have never thought about that.
I'm trying to find it in the books. I've got it in front of me, trying to find it where it actually describes it. And I can't, actually. I don't know if there's a specific spot where he describes the darkness. It just seems like he mentions it throughout the last book, that it gets darker, darkness gathering in the east, and then
Yeah.
He
Gandalf's
does
like,
mention it.
the darkness
they
has
mention-
begun.
They actually mention it in the bit with Pippin in Minas Tirith because
Yep.
Yeah.
they first mention it in that sequence.
Yeah, it says it's getting dark, whatever, and he says, "Not at sunrise. The darkness has begun. There will be no dawn." And that's like the end of the chapter. And I was like, "Wait, what?" Like they talk about dust coming in the evening being heavy and stuff, and the sky is ashen gray, but that's it. that I
Actually,
could
would
find.
that be the first description of it? Wouldn't there be a little bit of a description of it in book 4 when Frodo and Sam are heading towards Mordor?
Probably.
That's before then.
No, that's quite possible. Like I think they talk about it before then, because
Yeah, because
before then, like that
Frodo and
takes
Sam
this.
are way later.
Yeah, but Frodo and Sam. Yeah, no, but I'm talking about the part before they go to Shelob's lair.
Oh, yeah, in book 4. I don't know.
And
Maybe.
there would have to be, it would have to be seen by them because they are coming through it as the dawnless day is starting to darken upon it, and you have the glimmer of light coming at sunset that shines upon at the crossroads, which is before they get to Shelob's
That's
lair.
true. So homework for all of our listeners: find the spot where they describe the dawnless day in the books.
And put it
It's
in the
definitely not
comments.
called that. I mean, I don't think it has that.
Yeah, I don't know.
that
Like, where does the
label.
term dawnless day come from?
Yeah, I think
I
from
don't
the
think
game.
LOTRO
They don't
made it
ever
up.
really use it in the book.
No, they don't.
I mean, he says when the summons comes, not at sunrise, the darkness has begun. So maybe that. I don't know.
Is it called that in the films?
Well, let's go to the films and find out. Andy.
Oh,
Nice
nice.
transition.
That was a duo segue.
Yes. I was researching on Tolkien Gateway to find out about the Dawnless Day, and
It was such a
apparently it
good
says
transition.
that it refers to the 10th of March, when fumes from Mordor veiled the sun, an attempt by Sauron to discourage or misguide his enemies.
Okay.
And it blacked out most of Gondor and Rohan. But apparently it was just one day.
What day
Nope,
was the
take that
Pelennor
back.
Fields?
It lasted until March 15th.
No, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah, but the dawnless 5 days just sounds weird.
The 5 Dawnless Days.
Still,
I
you
think it's
could
like
you
a
could
lot of
abbreviate it
things,
for
you know. They're trying to describe some kind of literary device, and they're like, "Hey, what about that time when Sauron had such bad gas it like covered over half of the eastern part of this area? So we'll call that the dawnless. You could call it like the dawn of the horrible burrito. So it's like the dawnless day, referring to that time
Oh my God! I
when
just went so high on you when you said Sauron
Let's
had
get back
gas.
to the films.
I know I'm totally
Mount
going
Doom is a
junior high
giant
here.
Taco Bell.
I
I
know
guess.
it's like a fumarole of fumes, and so, but I mean the idea is it's like a device that people know what you're talking about when you say yes, the dawnless day. They're referring to that action of that cloud that covered the sun, causing the demoralization. It was called that particular skill in Battle for Middle Earth, I think, where you could cloud over the light, and it gave all the dark forces a buff, and it made all the light forces have a debuff. But the idea is it's a device that may not necessarily be mentioned in the books by that exact title, but everybody knows what you're talking about because it's used so often.
that's like when you call the
There you
Where
have
champion
the
skill
name
Shing
comes
Shing,
from.
but we all know that it's actually Raging Blade.
There you go.
That.
All right.
I just learned
Andy,
something.
what are the pros for the films?
Finally to the pros. So I really do like the way that they did the visual distinction and showed the Dawnless Day coming over and then eventually dissipating later over Gondor. And there's like the really cool shot in particular when Gandalf makes the light, like his light come through and like the forces scatter and it shows that like the light is going against the darkness and it does this nice visual shot, even though it's not technically the most lore appropriate. It looks really cool. And so I really do like that shot quite a bit. And also, as an extension of aerial devices of war, there's also that subplot where he uses Minas Morgul to blow up the moon with a giant green laser.
What?
It's a subplot. He was in league with Doofenshmirtz to become the true ultimate evil person.
And take over the tri-state area.
That's right.
I think you're getting something confused.
I don't think so,
seriously
Pine
missed
Leaf. It's a
something.
very subtle subplot of the Peter
Yep.
Jackson film.
I'm pretty sure that giant green laser must be like Sauron's anti-Star Wars program to the LOTRO mini satellite laser campaign. So I can
probably
see
where
where
it
you're
came
going there,
from.
Angar.
That's
I know
right.
what you're talking about, Andang. They must have hacked the mini satellite grid.
Yep, I'm telling you, secret subplots of Peter Jackson's film.
Let us go to
I,
the
I
cons for the
Wow.
films.
Wow,
I
did
can't
we?
even.
I've never heard Pine Leaf broken that much. Wow.
He was like, the lower sensor is completely fried.
Just
with
sound
all
like he
this
was
bad-
totally emotionally scarred from this experience.
Just
Man.
remember, hobbits come from Hoarhallow.
Right. Aretha, do you have any cons for the films?
Only one, and that's maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but that it's just completely unexplained. It's just, oh, it's dark now because of Sauron, who's dark, and who makes it dark because he's Sauron and he likes dark things. Like, does he actually, like, I can't remember. I haven't seen the third film in quite a while, but going on memory, I can't think of a time where they're actually like, it's here to demoralize us and to enable his troops to fight. Like, just the fact
There's
that
that
it's so
line between
unexplained.
Pippin or Merry and Gandalf when they're talking about when they're looking over the horizon and they see the smoke coming up from Mount Doom in the distance and like the evil dark there with the dawnless day coming closer to them, and they talk about it there. It's very subtle. It's definitely not like a main plot point, but it is mentioned there.
Gotcha.
All right, then let's head into the games. Arether, what's the advantage of the games?
I think the few things that I like about it, one is that it progresses as you get closer. So even though like you can go anywhere in the game, you get the sense that you're progressing into this darkness, which I really like the way they did it. Even just going from one side of Pelargir to the other, it's a noticeable difference as you get closer to Mordor. It gets darker. Um, I like how it's not just darkness. You get the fire, you get the lightning. It's not just darkness to be darkness, and so like Elda in the chat, darkness, no parents. Like it's not just to be dark. It's there as clearly a device of the enemy and things not as they should be. That the world right there, so close, is in such turmoil. It's interesting. I like the way they did it. I like the way they have it. You know, the daytime and nighttime, you can tell the difference still, like you can in the books. It's not like it's not pitch black all the time. You still get it's brown and barren, as they described it in the books of when it's daytime. So you can still tell the difference between day and night. It's not pitch black,
Yeah.
but you've got the ash floating in the air. Just the burned stench of Mordor is reaching across and getting closer and closer to us as we get closer to it. I like it a lot the way they did it.
Now, what's interesting, of course, is in the book is as you are getting closer to Mordor, you're also getting a little bit later in time, so therefore you have two things pushing it to be thicker as you're moving towards in that direction.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Terry Adwin for
Real
the cons.
quick, by the way, I have an update. It was actually mentioned in Appendix B, is the only place the Dawnless Day was mentioned, apparently.
By name is the Dawnless Day, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's mentioned.
It's mentioned,
to
it's
find
just
it.
the only place by name was in Appendix B, apparently.
All right, Terry Adwin, what are the cons for the game?
Well, my biggest con for the game is that it's all of a sudden just there. Like there's no warning. Because you go from Western Gondor to Central Gondor, and
Boom.
because even as you're crossing the border, there's no indication that there's any kind of darkness, and then you cross the border and boom, it's dark, and it's like, what the heck? So I really wish that they would have implemented that better. But because even timeline-wise, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There should be some kind of warning that we're riding into the soup.
Yeah, that's always the thing about it is that anything to do with the sky is handled by zone.
The
And
Yeah,
apparently
Soupy
the
Days.
you can't really make
the
it like
tech-
a gradual transition.
They could, if they made each subzone have a different sky as you went towards Mordor, basically.
Yeah, I have a feeling it would have taxed their engine too much or something like that. But
It would have taken a lot more work at the very
It had a
least.
lot more work at the very least and things like that.
And LOTRO has had problems in the past and still does with lighting transitions.
Right.
Yeah, Barnabas in the chat says even a poor meteorologist would have seen that coming. Yes, I agree 100%. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that there's darkness on the horizon because you should be able to tell.
Not even a poor meteorologist, just like a silly caveman in the corner of like a cave would know that the dawnless day is coming. Like he can
Well,
see.
yes, but seeing how how they would probably have been a lot more aware than the average person today concerning
big
what's in the
con
sky.
Even the extremely busy businessmen would know that.
Yes.
The
Sorry.
other big one is they're awfully chatty about this whole darkness thing. Like they're not even this chatty about it in the book. They're not all woe is me in the book. They're like, oh, well, okay, we might die, but you know what? We're gonna stand up to the. And in the you go up to talk to NPCs in the game, and they're like, oh, this darkness is so overpowering. We'll never see the sun again. And it's like, really, man up.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if that was happening and you knew that it was related directly to Sauron, that would be pretty terrifying. That'd be
And
like
in,
if like a volcano exploded somewhere and you knew for sure it was like related to the devil and like that kind of stuff. That would be like the most terrifying thing ever.
and also the fact that in the game, a lot of the people we're dealing with, especially the NPCs that are like, "Why are you bothering me?" Those guys, those guys aren't the brave characters that we meet in the books.
Yeah.
You have like captains of the guard and stuff who say the same thing, and they're supposed to be, the ones who are out in front of this thing telling the people that it's going to be okay, we're going to beat it back, have faith, lie through your teeth, even if you don't think that that's what's going to happen.
Maybe that's an effect of the Dauntless Days to demoralize, and we're seeing it
Yeah,
more in
maybe
the game
there's like a
than in the books.
mystical thing to it as well.
I'm pretty sure it also has to do with too many people watching Elven podcasts, listening to the "Grace sorrow on my heart." Come on, man.
I think if that was the case, that I would almost rather see like a permanent +1 dread or something.
Oh, that'd be a cool idea too.
Well, yes,
That
I
would be
would
an
think
interesting
that.
effect.
Yes, I would think that dread or something like that in the area.
Especially
would have
by,
looked-
day 2 as we get closer to Minas Tirith, day 2 or day 3 or however many days into it we are now, you get like increasing dread. Not so much that you can't get it off with a hope token, but just that underlying, this is not a good thing. Something of that nature to explain why the NPCs are all moody.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
it's
sure
because
though
of
that
all
if they-
those half trolls out there that are banging on him, like, and with the demoralizing sky. Are you kidding? That having dread with that would be terrifying.
Yeah, I suspect that if they implemented dread the way you're saying, while it would be great, I am sure there will be people who will be complaining about it because there's always
Well,
someone.
they're going to complain about it anyway.
Yeah, you got a point there. Let's go into donations. We currently have 9 supporters on Patreon. If you would like to join this illustrious fellowship of the ring of players to help with LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even a guest spot on an episode of LOTRO Players News. And Ending, how far are we from our next goal?
Yes, well, we're still about $9 away from a DDO 5000 turbine point code giveaway. So it's a little bit of ways away, but we're getting close.
All right, then. Let's go into our featured comments. And Sue Helm left a comment on last week's podcast. What a fun show. And the bloopers do add a level of flirtatiousness to the proceedings. Nice to see the new
It's not gonna
team
go
is
away.
getting along so well. Concerning
Smooth.
Ending's got a spicy finish. What can I
Spicy
say?
finish. Yes, that's what I was thinking.
yes. Concerning beer names. Sue wordplay is odd, I must admit. Beer names explained would induce a fit. Don't search for sense and senselessness, don't seek inebriation and normalness, but merriment and enlightenment can be found in LOTRO players' amusement.
Okay.
Turn the page now.
We did not receive any emails, but if you would like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@lotroplayers.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter. The Players Alliance @Players Ally, LOTRO Players @LOTRO Players, Anding @PVMP_Anding, Erahert at don't ask, Erathert @Erathert, Braxwolf @Braxwolf, Carvette @CarvetteLP, Lilykate @LilykateBuggins, Maven @Mindshare Maven, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, Terry Adwin @Terry Adwin, and you can follow us our guest Brannick at BD Marvel.
Yeah, just BD Marvel.
Yeah, BD Marvel. The Players Alliance has 3 live shows every single week. On Mondays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. On Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Guild Wars Players News. And on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. You can join us for live shows by going to lotroplayers.com/live. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is Piney Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.